economic team of Philippine President-elect Ferdinand Marcos Jr. takes shape. He also bared his thoughts on the Duterte administration's proposal to impose new taxes to help pay off the country's ballooning debt. Warren de Guzman has a full story.
Stronger. Philippine Central Bank Governor Benjamin Jokno will take over as Finance Secretary under the administration of President-elect Ferdinand Marcos Jr. This early, he has hinted at plans to continue the work outgoing Secretary Carlos Dominguez started. However, he is not yet sold on raising or creating new taxes.
We will certainly look at the fiscal consolidation plan that was handed over by the outgoing administration. You know, my own sense is that our tax system right now is much better than the tax system that we inherited from the previous administration. I think it's too early for me right at this point to make any position on whether to increase taxes or not.
On Wednesday, Secretary Dominguez proposed in his Fiscal Consolidation and Resource Mobilization Plan new taxes on single-use plastics and luxury goods, among others, higher taxes on alcohol and cigarettes, and the deferral of the last reduction in personal income tax scheduled under the Train Law to 2025 from the original schedule of 2023. Marcos says he understands the government needs to raise funds to pay off 13.1 trillion pesos in debt, including 3.2 trillion COVID-related borrowings, but he isn't sure if Dominguez's plan should be implemented right away.
We are trying to create some fiscal space so that to reduce the load on ordinary citizens and maybe move the load up, the tax load up. There are also distribution of wealth implications.
Meanwhile, former University of the Philippines President and current Management Association of the Philippines President Alfredo Pascual has been tapped as the next Trade Secretary. Pascual has yet to issue a statement, but outgoing Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez has already commended the decision, noting Pascual has the competence and experience to serve and serve well. Part of Pascual's mandate will be to protect consumers and manage the prices of basic goods and commodities. He will be helped by the new head of the country's inflation gatekeeper, incoming Philippine Central Bank Governor and current Monetary Board member Felipe Medalla, who previously served as Socio-Economic Planning Secretary under the Estrada administration. One proposal to halt rising inflation is to lower or remove excise taxes on oil imports, which have experienced a surge in prices due to the Russia-Ukraine war. Marcos says he is still studying this.
Pag nawala ka agad dyan, wala naman tayo pang-bigay ng tupad, wala na tayo pang-bigay ng ayuda, ay kailangan pa rin ng tao yan. But if the economy is ready, kahit kunin mo yan, may trabaho na, then perhaps we can think about it.
Warren de Guzman, ABS-CBN News.
The appointments to the economic team of Marcos met with praises. The Makati Business Hub said the appointments of experienced and well-known leaders will boost the confidence of local and foreign businesses in the new administration. For the Bankers Association of the Philippines, BSP Governor Benjamin Jokno and former NEDA Chief Felipe Medalla are the best candidates as finance chief and the country's top central banker. It adds the Philippine economy can successfully navigate various challenges under their stewardship. As for House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Joey Salceda, he says Jokno being named as finance chief is by far the strongest appointment Marcos has made. President-elect Marcos pinks Manny Bonoan as head of the Public Works and Highways Department. Bonoan is currently the president and CEO of San Miguel Corporation Tollways. He started his career at the DPWH in 1998 as Undersecretary for Visayas and Mindanao Operations and was acting secretary in 2007.
He has spent almost his entire professional life in the DPWH. I know him very well, so I think he will do it. I know he will do a good job.
Yes, absolutely. I cannot refuse the offer of the president. I also have to contribute to yung kahirapan ng ating bansa.
Marcos's close friend, former Davao del Norte Congressman Anton Lagdameo, will meanwhile serve as as special assistant to the president.
We've asked Congressman Anton Latavia to fill that position. Yeah, because it's very sensitive and very important in the sense that we have worked, we've known each other since he was a child, hindi na ako childhood, pero since he was young. So he knows me very well. He's been with us, working with me for past 10 years. For that. So in terms of the working relationship,
House lawmaker Rodante Marcoleta and retired professor Clarita Carlos may also join Marcos's cabinet. The president-elect says he's still waiting for the two to say what roles in the government they would like to take. Grow the economy and the rest will follow. That's the mindset of Philippine Central Bank Governor Benjamin Jokno as he assumes his post of finance secretary under the incoming Marcos administration. Jokno believes this can help address many of the country's economic woes, including the mounting debt from the pandemic.
Our problem really is to get back on our growth trajectory because that will solve a lot of problems. If we grow at 6 to 7%, that solves our tax revenue problem. That will solve our deficit problem. That will solve our debt problem. The Duterte administration is going to leave to the incoming administration a much better tax structure than before. And it raises more taxes. So I'm not worried about the level of the debt. For example, that's 63%. That's easily manageable because as long as the economy can grow at 6 to 7%, which was our record before the crisis, we can easily outgrow our debt. And most of our debt are domestic rather than foreign.
As for returning socio-economic planning chief Arsenio Balicasan, he says he will continue to push for equity as the next administration tries to come up with fiscal reforms.
Whatever fiscal consideration reforms you do, this should not come at the expense of those that were vulnerable and have more need in life. Because I think if I go back in our history, whenever we have fiscal crisis, it's always those sectors where the poor are most concentrated, that took the heavy hit. Talking about education, health, and other sectors, including scholarships for the poor. These are usually the ones that are easy to be chopped, and I don't think that's a good way to address the fiscal issue.
Meanwhile, Marcos says he is open to appointing his predecessor, outgoing President Rodrigo Duterte, as the new drug czar. Marcos says he has not made any discussions with Duterte regarding the matter, but he says he is willing to appoint him if Duterte wants to.
ang kanya, sinasabi niya the one thing that he was very assertive about was that ituloy mo yung anti-drug syndicate na sinimula mo. Do it your own way. He really said that, do it your own way. Palitan mo, gawin mo yung gusto, pero huwag mong iiwanan yan dahil kawawa ang kabataan natin. Talagang nasisira ang mga buhay nila. So that, I fully appreciate what he said. And of course, the drug problem in the country continues to be a problem.
Official figures show the Duterte administration's bloody drug war resulted in the death of more than 6,000 people, but human rights groups allege that the death toll is much higher. The incoming president vows to go hard against corruption. Marcos says he will start by cleaning up the customs and internal revenue bureaus. That's as he believes the pandemic-battered economy will not succeed if the two revenue-generating agencies fail to collect tariffs and taxes efficiently. The Marcos family, meanwhile, has yet to settle its 203 billion peso estate tax debt, even after the BIR said it has been trying to collect and demand payment from the Marcos estate administrators.
There should not be any place for corruption. Unfortunately, in some areas, naging endemic na talaga yung
secretary also insists pending graft and corruption cases against the Marcoses will not be shelved. The family is accused of amassing billions of pesos in ill-gotten wealth during the administration of the president-elect's father and namesake, the late dictator Ferdinand Marcos Sr. The camp of President-elect Marcos insists it is not excluding certain media organizations in press briefings. This comes after Marcos's first press conference post-proclamation was limited to only 3 networks. Marcos's chief of staff and incoming executive secretary explains they were merely fulfilling a commitment they made to these networks during the campaign period.
Ang tanging kadahilanan lamang kung bakit nagpaunlak si President-elect Bongbong Marcos ng panayam kaninang umaga sa Net25, SMNI at GMA7 sapagkat ito yung commitment na ibinigay ng aming media team nung kampanya dito sa 3 network na agad nang nagpasabi na kung sakasakali hong mananalo si then candidate Bongbong Marcos, maaari ho ba kaming mapagbigyan ng one-on-one interview. And if you may have noticed, we did not do it ng one-on-one. We want to be fair at pinagsabay-sabay na natin yung 3 networks.
But for a veteran journalist, the behavior of the Marcos camp during Thursday's press briefing is not surprising. But Santos says this behavior was evident even during the campaign period.